As part of our commitment to keeping you informed this election year, ABC Action News is offering candidates in the major races 5 minutes to talk about their issues and priorities. Brendan has our latest profile in Democracy 2010.
I'm here now with Alex Sink. She is the state's chief financial officer. She is also the Democratic nominee for the governor's race. Alex Sink, good to have you on Democracy 2010. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Brandon.
Let me start by asking you about the fact that the recession has eroded a lot of the state's revenue. There's really a budget crisis, you could say. Your opponent has a plan for $2 billion in tax cuts to deal with this. What is your plan in terms of dealing with the tax side of the equation and the expense side of the equation?
Well, I put together a business plan over 10 months ago, which calls for reviving our economy so that more businesses would hire Floridians, and it involves business tax credits. If you want to start up a business, we'll defer your taxes for 3 years. And the important thing to remember is that in the state of Florida, something I like, I'm a fiscal conservative, we have to balance our budget here. So we can't do spending more than we bring in revenues, and my plan calls for absolutely no tax cuts at all. We're going to revive our economy, and that's how we're going to get out of this fix we're in.
Any program cuts? Where are you going to cut the budget specifically?
Well, specifically, I've identified already $700 million in cuts because I've been there just 3.5 years, but I've been there long enough to know that we can further streamline state government. We are going to streamline middle management. We're going to go after some of the $2 to $3 billion of fraud in the Medicaid system. And we're going to identify ways to consolidate things like call centers that don't involve hurting Florida citizens who are served by the government, but get a little bit more efficiency in.
You say the immigration law passed in Arizona does not fit our needs. What is your objection to requiring law enforcement to check the legal status of somebody that they have had lawful reason to pull over and detain? What's the problem with that?
Well, let's go back and talk about the Alex Sink plan for immigration, which fits Florida's needs, I think, better than what we've heard out of Arizona. I understand the frustration that the people in Arizona are having. They have a different border situation than we have, but I believe the right way to attack illegal immigration is to go after and increase the fines and penalties on businesses that knowingly hire illegal immigrants and take away jobs from Florida citizens and legal immigrants. And as it relates to law enforcement, Brendan, I have worked and consulted with law enforcement, and they understand that as they have the ability to right now, when they arrest somebody, the legal status of that person they've arrested can be checked through the feds, and it should be. And then that person should be handed over to the feds. But law enforcement, their budget is stretched already. To add additional responsibilities, just randomly asking people about their legal status, they need to be out in the streets protecting Floridians.
Can I assume that you're essentially for the Obama health care reforms? And if so, would you actually go so far as to defend them against the people that would like to overturn the health care law as it exists?
Well, as the governor or the future governor of the state of Florida, this is the situation we're in Florida. Our health care system is broken. The number one problem that small businesses and small business owners talk to me about as I've traveled around the state these last years is the increasing rate of insurance premiums they have to pay to be able to extend health insurance to their employees. So, I mean, I've had women business owners with tears saying, you know, this is the year, Alex, that I'm not going to be able to provide health insurance. So our system as we have it now is broken. 1 in 4 Floridians under the age of 65 has no health insurance. So we have to do something differently. And as health care reform passed in Washington earlier this year, there are parts about that plan that I think are great and effective, and tax credits are being given right now as we speak for small businesses who provide insurance, but there are pieces of the plan that I think are going to hurt Florida businesses, and so I think that those parts should be fixed, and I am going to be a loud advocate for businesses in Washington to encourage Congress to fix the problems in the plan that was passed.
Only about 20 seconds for this one, I'm afraid, but the Citizens Insurance, they have adopted a lot of risk on the behalf behalf of property owners in the state. Some say way too much risk, and that the artificially low premiums have forced other private insurers out of the state. You got a quick solution for that? In 15 seconds?
Well, the quick solution is that some rates have been heavily subsidized by other Floridians, and the legislature did pass a law which would permit for the gradual, less than 10% increase in some of the rates that are being subsidized now, and that will get us back into a much firmer financial condition at Citizens.
All right, very good. Alex Sink, thank you very much for being on Democracy 2010.
Thank you.
Alex Sink is our Chief Financial Officer and also the Democratic nominee for governor. Election day is November 2nd. Back to you.